What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol MRNA for Moderna Inc. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, these guys obviously had a massive gap up. We've covered the stock in the past, and all of these gaps are getting difficult to keep track of. So let's start from scratch with a new drawing set here. The main one from today's session, so Wednesday into today, because of course Thursday was the holiday. Let's go ahead and map out today's low of day. That's going to technically fill to Wednesday's high of day here. And then underneath us, we also get this gap from here to here, which is only partially filled. And now this gap technically is still open here. Okay, so again, this is just why this is very confusing. So this was technically a gap, correct? We've now only traded through some of that in a regular trading hour session. So this is technically a double gap from here, as well as this gap right here. Just expect extremely low amounts of support or liquidity in this general area. That's why we would expect it to fill relatively quickly if we take out today's low of day. Now, I'm not saying it has to happen on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or any point during next week, but if we do start taking out the low of today's session, Friday's session, just be aware that there's essentially nothing underneath us here until about 298.45, 300 psychological, if you like using nice round numbers. So that's kind of what we got to the downside. To the upside, we're certainly topped out at a visible area of resistance. We had this on the chart before we cleared it. You can see a big shelf here. That's exactly where the party stopped on today's session. And then once again, another gap overhead. So from here to here is another open gap. That's 359.62 fills up to about 377.21. After that, technically speaking, another gap in here from our 403.18 up to 407.79. Okay, so the chart is all over the place, extremely sloppy, and it's kind of unfortunate that bad news had to come out of Africa, I believe, for all of these sort of vaccine companies and the biopharmas, all of that stuff to really get moving to the upside. But I mean, it's a catalyst we can't ignore. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the 30-minute now that the daily's been marked up properly. I would certainly point out that the opening drive incredibly strong. Anyone who was sort of long from in here, even long from in here, who had to suffer and sit through this nasty move to the downside through earnings, those people are now feeling content again. So, there could be some profit taking as we sit in here, as anyone who essentially got long in this area expecting the rebound here, if they held through, that probably scared them. And, holding through something like that, you would probably be willing to just take your break even, especially if this was meant to be a trade and not some sort of long-term investment. So those are my 2 cents from the daily perspective. Taking a closer look at the 30-minute now so we can actually talk about levels to trade against. Let's come in with the fibs from high to low, or low to high rather. And what you'll notice is that we actually respect the 61.8. So out of all of the biopharmas that we've sort of looked at today, or just pharmaceutical companies in general, this is probably the healthiest one. I mean, obviously it's one of the biggest names here, but it did respect the 61.8. So technically we do have healthy consolidation continuing up and over, let's just call it 327.50 for round number 6. So that's what I would watch out for inside of MRNA. Watch for this pullback level to be respected and, healthy consolidation to happen above. And you're looking for a bigger breakout to stem from the move up and over that 350, all because of this prior shelf of resistance, right? As that happens, you get momentum style traders who can, sympathize with people who are long from in here, people watching for that breakout in the past to potentially push it up and into some of these gaps, right? The first target would be here at around 380. We'll call it for round number sake. Then you're going to monitor for continuation into this range. This is not a gap that you're actually going to trade for a move from here to here. It's just going to act as a target, right? So on a break of this, first gap fill, certainly trade for this range. If you want to be more skeptical, your entry could be here up and over this 359 to start to fill the gap. Fine. Next one would be here. And again, you're not going to trade for this range. This area is just going to start to act as a target to the upside. If we see a breakdown of this level here at the 327, that's where you need to be cautious, remembering again that we spent a lot of time talking about the fact that there's really no support here, and there's also technically a gap to fill down to about 275.41. Now, does that happen? I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure there will be some news that comes out this weekend that will impact all of these pharma type stocks. So just keep an ear out for it. Watch for any gap up or gap down that comes from Monday's session, and take all of these levels with sort of a grain of salt, right? If there's going to be news, it's going to do whatever the stock wants to do here. Obviously, huge green volume on today's session, going to give us more confidence in the fact that this gap up will hold as opposed to just crumbling back down into some of these lower levels. That's really going to wrap up the video. No clear direction based on what's happening here, but you have, the numbers to be watching out for. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything new, let me know in the comment section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.